Hi, Jordan. Thank you very much for taking part in the Business Spotlight series. I'm going to hand it straight over to you to introduce yourself and what you do.
Let's see, my name's Jordan Parks. What I'm doing is basically creating a stock exchange for fine art, essentially, at the moment.
Fantastic. So, how long have you done that for?
Oof, about the last year and a half, roughly.
And tell me a bit more about it. How does it work?
So essentially what it does is it tokenizes fine art that on a exchange that's freely tradable between all four parties, yeah.
Okay. And so, when you say fine art, is it new artist work? Is it things that
It's
come
could be
from
both, yeah.
auction?
So it could be contemporary, it could be old historical, it could be mid-century, it could be anything really. Yeah. I think that's like a solid track record of selling before.
Okay, and tell me a bit more about how it works. It's not something I'm personally that familiar with. I mean, I hear terms like NFTs, but tell me a bit more about, how the pieces come to take part. I guess is it something that someone has to be willing to sell in the first place so you can invest in it, or how does this work?
I mean, it could be a multitude of things, but it could be something that an artist wants to sell for on behalf of us. So like you list it with us, and we just take like a flat percentage commission. So it's sort of like a traditional gallery would, but much lower, of course. Or it could just be actually stock that we buy ourselves because we see the investment value in it. So how we get the inventory is a variety of ways, but yeah. How it works on the exchange itself, it functions much like a trading platform. So if you've ever traded like gold or silver, or if you traded stocks or crypto, it's very similar to that, right? You can put market orders, limit orders, stop losses, this kind of stuff. Yeah. It's never been
Okay,
done for fine art though. So there's nothing out there like it yet.
great. And where did the idea come from?
Basically, I was looking at OpenSea and I saw all these crappy NFTs for sale, like digital JPEG monkeys and stuff. And it was, I thought that the technology was being wasted on digital assets. I thought it was much more applicable and if you apply NFT technology to physical assets, right? Because with art, a lot of problems you have is like who owns what. Like, so if someone sells something to me, I have to check who did they buy it from? Is it legitimate? Is this a forgery? You have to do all this due diligence on it, which I actually thought blockchain would be fantastic at removing that element of it. Because once you've done the due diligence on it once, you can just store it in like a permanent record that's public, and then you don't have to do it anymore.
Hmm.
So that's where I sort of got the idea to combine NFT technology, but use it for like a physical asset.
Excellent. And in terms of the people who are getting involved and taking part, I guess it's international.
Yeah, it's international. I mean, we got 3 people in London, and then a couple more advisors there. And then we have some people here over at Belgrade, Serbia, where I'm at right now. And then we have 1 or 2 people in the States as well. So yeah,
Fantastic. And in
very
terms of
modern makeup.
yeah, taking advantage of the remote world for sure. In terms of people who are actually then going onto the platform and taking part, are there particular groups that it appeals to so far?
So the people that are going to be most interested in this to begin with are going to be traders. So again, people that are trading, assets already on some sort of exchange, could be like eToro or something. That's going to be like the primary demographic. Followed by later at a later stage, like actual art collectors and stuff like that, right?
Hmm. Excellent. And what are the plans for the company in the next 5 years?
Ooh, 5 years, man. It's a startup you're just thinking about on a month by month basis, but 5 years we hope to be in the unicorn status, definitely, and then we hope to be the purveyor of fine art online globally because there's not really one site out there that dominates that category.
Fantastic. And I suppose from the other side of it, for those people who are looking to sell art, what's the appeal for them?
First of all, the commission structure for artists right now is really terrible. I mean, it's kind of like a used car salesman kind of approach to it. So if you want to sell your art, you have to work through an agent who has to work through other intermediaries, and everybody's taking a slice up from the gallery. It's pretty common for the artist to actually don't get less than half of the actual proceeds of the sale. So it's not very great incentive for them. For ours, it's only 10% flat, so they keep 90% of the proceeds. So of course, there's a financial incentive. But the other incentive is that even if you go through like a gallery that's trying to sell your work, it takes a long time for someone to actually see your work, right? And it may be like, it could be on the market for like 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Then one like really wealthy guy comes, it's like, hey, I like this piece, and he pays like a big price for it. And then that kind of sets the tone for your future price increases for that particular item. This way is different. I mean, like the 2 weeks that it's on our platform, more eyeballs could see it than would ever hope to see it walk by at an auction or gallery, right? You could have like 10,000 people see it in 1 week, you know?
Yeah, excellent. And so where are you at the moment in terms of having the opportunity to invest? You said you started obviously like a year and a half ago. Is this something people can actively start investing in now? Have you got a sort of an amount of stock just now, or is it something that's launching later on?
It's launching actually this summer, as a matter of fact. Yeah, so the platform itself is about 95% of the way there, tech-wise. We've lined up our few starting artists, and right now we're actually building momentum as far as like community engagement goes to bring people on board to the platform.
Fantastic. And I guess so once it's live, people are able to go onto the website and see,
Yeah, it's live right now. You can see it, angelo.app. If you just type that in the web browser, it's there.
Great. And what are the challenges for you as a business in this industry?
The main challenge is we're attempting to merge a really old business that has resisted all change up until maybe the last 2 years after pandemic, with like Web3, which is like this brand new technology that not a lot of people understand, and we're just trying to put them together. So it's the old versus new versus the uncertain. So there is, of course, a lot of challenges from that regard, but it's nothing that I don't think we can't handle.
And tell me a bit more about Web3. So what are some of the sort of new things that people wouldn't know about with that, and how the things that will let them do that they can't do at the moment?
Well, Web3 is mainly like identity protocol. That's the main thing behind it. Usually when most people think about it, they're like, oh, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever tokens. That's just like one part of it. The main thing about it is it can actually identify people without actually giving away your personal information, right? Which I think in like the era of like what we live in now, where we have to give away every bit of personal information about yourself. Even if you log on to like a Wi-Fi at a coffee shop, you have to give your phone number and like your email address, like all this kind of ridiculous stuff. But Web3, you don't need that because everything's done through the wallet address ID, and you self-sign what you want to sign up for and what you don't, but it doesn't actually exchange your personal identity with it. So I think that's going to change a lot of things as we become more privacy conscious as time goes on. And the blockchain itself is a fantastic way to actually organize information, because there's a lot of things that like everything right now in Web2 is kept like secretive. Like every company holds the data secretly to themselves. But the blockchain, it's really useful for actually organizing that publicly, but also in a way that no one can, again, identify who exactly you are. There's just wallet address, which is you, but it's not something you actually have to like, give out to like a ton of marketers to spam you all the time. So just from the way that we hold our personal data and the way we organize it in the public sphere, I think that's where the real potential of Web3 is. It's not so much in like these tokens that are speculative and, just randomly increase at random intervals for no reason.
Great, that's good. Thanks for the insight there. It's something I'm not as familiar with. So, again, look, you've run the business now for a year and a half. What would you say has been your biggest learning in that time?
Let's see. As an early stage startup, it's super important to get your hiring right? Like I can't emphasize that enough. So in the beginning, we were a little bit more lax with who we hired. We're like, okay, this person seems fine. They come from X company, but just because someone worked at Google doesn't actually mean they're qualified at all. That's one thing I learned. We hired somebody from like a top tier company. I sort of just like expected their experience to be there just because they worked on there and their recommendation's good, but not at all. So I've learned to like really carefully screen people for what they actually do know and actually test them all the knowledge in like a 3-part process. So that's something like as an early stage startup, super important. And then of course, like I have to say for my space, because Web3 is notoriously guilty of this, like be aware of what regulations are, have conversations with the regulator. Because a lot of companies in my space aren't doing that. And that's why they're getting into trouble. So we started off with that at like day one. Like, all right, we're going to inform the regulator of the plans. We're going to make sure they know exactly what we're doing. We're going to find a way to make this work. Right.
Yeah, no, there's two good pieces of advice, and I've heard that similar recently from somebody else in a similar space, that it's important to actually test out what a developer, for example, what they can actually do, as opposed to just taking it for granted that they can do it. So
super important, yeah.
Excellent, great advice. And then what's the inspiration for you behind the whole idea?
Well, I've kind of always wanted to guide my life in something creative that I enjoy. So I've always enjoyed fine art. I appreciate it quite a bit. And so that's why I was looking for something like, cause I've already had like a few successful businesses already. So I'm looking for something I'm actually passionate about. So first it started with the passion, which is nice because, you know, of course, everyone wants to work something they're passionate about. Um, but again, once I saw that fine art hadn't changed in like 300 years, it's still like the same old rich billionaire, like, yeah, I'll buy this. And his friend is like, I'll buy this. And, you know, it's still that whole thing is basically what drives the whole market essentially. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way to do this. I mean, we live in the internet age and people still have to go to like Sotheby's and Christie's is the only option to actually buy anything. It's ridiculous. So once I saw the whole NFT revolution and the community behind that, I realized I could piece these two things together and make something new out of it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, well, looking forward to seeing the launch later on then in the summer. And on that, is there any sort of news or any offer you'd like to extend to the audience?
News. Yeah, again, there's not much until there's summer, but if you go to angelo.app, we will have our early subscriber access active soon. So if you just get yourself on the newsletter list, we will mail it to you. And you'll be
Brilliant.
one of the first ones to be able to do it.
Excellent. Sounds great. Be interesting to see. So look, thanks very much for telling us a bit more about the business, and obviously wishing you massive luck moving forward with that, and hopefully it acts as the disruptor it looks like it could be.
It's as disruptive as it gets.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thanks, Ed.